Guys, welcome back. Hope you are doing well. Like always, I choose to do these when I get a really good idea, something that excites me a bit. And I was thinking about drums. And first, I was like, oh, I want to see, if I took a drum rack, because you're either starting with an empty drum rack and adding drums to it and then making drums, or you're already have a drum rack set to go. And I feel like this is where a lot of people get stuck. So I was like, I want to see if I can like create a kick drum, like a big boomy, bassy kick drum, get that dialed in, then get a good snare. I'll probably use the 808 snare because I really like the sound of it. And then probably maybe like an 808 hat because that sounds good, a closed hi-hat, and then like find another closed hi-hat. And I was like, oh, that would work. Like those are like the main elements: kick, snare, hi-hat, meaning like how fast could I create, like get drums up and running if I were to just like throw them in a drum rack. Because that's like, I'll be honest, like now the thing I care the most about is just making like evolving meditative sound textures, because like that's just what I want to listen to. But like the me that started producing Ableton in 2013, in 2013, so my 10-year anniversary is it's next year in like March. Drums were actually my most important area, the area that I liked the most. And which is weird because I actually have a musical history before Ableton, and it wasn't drums, it was guitar. And so yeah, but drums were very important. And I'll be honest with you, like I just never really liked the drums I made. Like I made like really cool, weird, funky drums, but like to make them really good, you have to like do all of these little micro adjustments. And I was like, this isn't very musical. And like, don't get me wrong, like I was pretty good at finger drumming, like whether on like MIDI pads or actually on like a MIDI keyboard, like actually like hitting the keys. And I actually liked it that way. I felt I had more control. But I just kind of stopped finger drumming, and it just sort of turned out that the music I was making just didn't really have a lot of drums. And if they did have drums, I just would go in and draw in a drum pattern, because things pretty much fall where they're, like drums, like you can do anything with like a melody, you know what I mean? Like but like drums, pretty much you're mostly gonna just swap the grid to like 16th notes, and you're on your way. So yeah, I thought I was gonna do some drums, which is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make some beats, but I think the cooler thing is I'm not gonna do any of like, I don't think I'm gonna do any of the 808 stuff, because the idea that I had next, okay, so why did I tell you all that? Because, well, I don't know, maybe you're watching me because you think this is a very interesting and unique show. Maybe I'm an interesting and unique person, which I am, but so are all of you, so is everyone. But maybe you want to know these thought processes. So I had that idea, and then I was like, no, because I have a more exciting idea that's going to involve the same thing. We're still going to design a sort of like subby. In fact, I'll get started with that right now. We're gonna start with like a subby bass that's like a long, like a kick drum, but like a boom, not like a kick drum like boom, boom, boom. It's just punch. We want that boom, boom, punch, but we also want the tail, boom. And we're gonna use operator to get this, and I think we're gonna keep it on the fixed mode. So how did it change? Well, I got this insight as I was in my car driving about an hour or so ago. It's New Year's Eve. I'm not doing anything for New Year's Eve because I never do things on New Year's Eve. In fact, there's always like 2 holidays or like holidays, whatever. And for all of you British people and probably people in Europe and maybe everywhere, when you're in the U.S. Holidays, that's not like going on holiday to Brittenhampton. Like holiday is just like Christmas, Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving. That's what we call a holiday. Maybe you call it that too. And then when we go on holiday, it's vacation. That's what we call vacation. So anyways, I never liked Valentine's Day, and I never liked New Year's Eve. Those were, I think, like the only 2 holidays I didn't like, because like they always gave me pressure. Because like maybe it's changed. Like maybe Valentine's Day doesn't exist anymore, but like people be like, like, hey, what are you doing for Valentine's Day? And like you didn't want to be like, you didn't want to say you weren't doing anything. Like you didn't have a date. Like you couldn't. Like but then that was when I was younger and I like cared a lot about what people thought. And then I didn't like New Year's Eve because like again, people would be like, hey, what are you doing for New Year's Eve? And if you were like, I don't know, people would be like, wow, what a loser. Maybe people are cool now. I don't know. Are people cool now? But yeah, I was like, man, New Year's Eve, and so I'm obviously not a young guy anymore. Thank God. But now it's like, now no one really asks you any of those things. Or maybe they do. I don't know. Not me. I don't do it. So I hope you guys had a good New Year's Eve. I don't care about New Year's Eve, but I do care about the symbolism of like turning over another year, completing a cycle. And yeah, 2023 is pretty rough in a lot of areas for a lot of people. And honestly, you guys know I'm really into like spirituality and metaphysics and all that stuff. And apparently 2023, some amazing things are going to happen. Like we might all, like apparently something may even happen that like frees the whole world and everyone's free. I have no idea what that'll be. I don't really look for events anymore like I used to. Like back in the day, you hear so much like, you guys, on winter solstice, the whole consciousness of the planet's gonna change. And I was like, come on. I'm like doing that in July, and I keep going, and then winter solstice happens and nothing happened. But anyways, let's get back to it. So I've got a really cool idea. And ambient music. I love ambient music. So ambient music, for the most part, does not have drums. It can have drums. But you want to know what I noticed? Is that if you do have drums with ambient music, it mostly sounds awful. Because drums are so important. Beats, whatever you want to call them, drums or beats. Beats in music is very important because it really signifies like the genre. If we hear boom, 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 you know what I mean? We're like thinking like house music. If like it's like a, you might be like, oh, that's like a hip hop kind of a beat. And our bodies and our minds and our ears, they anticipate things. So like there's times where I hear a really good piece of ambient music because it's like a beautiful, warm, evolving, flowing sound, and then I hear something that annoys me, and it's drums. But here's why it annoys me, and I'm actually gonna see how we can fix it together, and maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't do it. But imagine if you're listening to an ambient music. So imagine a very relaxing ambient sound texture, and then all you hear is just a kick drum with a 4 on the floor, boom, 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 boom. Now, I hate that. Why? Because if I hear a pulsing kick drum, especially a 4 on the floor kick drum, my mind is wanting to know where this snare is going to come in. It's like it's waiting for this snare. And a lot of these songs, these ambient music that might have drums, and let's say they've got like a pulsing kick drum, I'm like waiting, even though it doesn't sound bad, I'm waiting for the snare, and a lot of times the snare will never come in. Or they'll do this, and they'll have like just like a shaker or like a hi-hat pattern. It's like on top of like, and I don't like that either, because my mind goes, okay, hi-hats, shaker, it's going. I'm like, okay, when's the kick and when's the snare gonna drop in? And in a lot of these tracks, the kick and the snare never come in. And so it gives a feeling of like restlessness. It gives a feeling of anticipation. But then when what you're anticipating never happens, it's awful. And like, I basically, because all I really care about is ambient music, like, because like it's what relaxes me, and like it's just what I listen to the most. Oh man, I needed that. And so I wrote it off. I said, you can't have drums with ambient. But then the ambient stations that I listen to that like just spit out like new ambient tracks to listen to, I started hearing drums and they sounded good. But you want to know why? I said, why do these drums sound good and they don't annoy me like the other ones? And I realized it, and I'm going to put it to the test for the first time tonight, and only we will know if it's cool or not. But it was because, and again, this is just my own musing. So if everything I've said up to this point has turned you off or you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it, because this is just my own thing. These are my own musings. I figure people tune in because they want to hear them. What piece of information came to me was, you can have drums in ambient, but they can't give off a very feel. Like if you put trap beats on ambient, well then it's like ambient trap. You can't have like, you know, like you can't have like a real, like you can't have like a boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? You can't have like a four on the floor, because then you start thinking like electronic music, you know? And you can't have like a very, you can't have a pattern that's very reminiscent of like a traditional rock drummer hi-hat thing, because then you're going to anticipate what's not there, you know, the snare, the kick. So it's almost like you have to come up with a pattern. And that's why I want to start with like a kick drum. You almost have to like come up with a pattern that is not in any way reminiscent of any like traditional drumming that you would hear in some sort of traditional genre of music. So it might be a pulsing kick drum, but it's not four on the floor. It's not on beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4 of the 4-beat bar. And I even got a very dirty thought, guys. What if we like, because when you're making like a drum kit, I'll just title this kick 1, and let's double click. So this is 16th notes. This is the 1, the 2, 3, the 4. This is a 4-bar loop, or excuse me, a 1-bar loop, of course. So anyways, you always start with like a kick on the 1, you know, and then there's always a snare on the 2, a snare on the 4. Now we're not going to do snares. Now I might have a snare, something that because it's like the kick drum occupies the lows, the snare occupies the mids, the hi-hats, the shakers, whatever, occupy the highs. Now, you can still have the lows, the mids, and the highs. They don't sound like a traditional kick drum or a snare or a clap or a hi-hat or a shaker, or, you know, but it still does that. So maybe we will have a snare sound, but it's not a snare sound. We're just calling it a snare sound because it's occupying more of that mid-range frequency, but it's not going to be playing on the 2 and the 4. Maybe it just dances around, like more of like if you had like a bongo drums, like, you know, you would just play a pattern. And to be honest with you, I bet you bongo patterns probably sound, or just any sort of percussion pattern probably sounds really great for this, because like It does. You don't just hear like bongos playing and you're like, oh, that sounds like that blah 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 song. You know, like it doesn't signal anything. It almost is probably what might sound good with this. So right now, if we click play, I'm just going to draw in a quick little pattern. I'm going to make it 2 bars because I know I'm going to. So right now, Shift Tab, it's playing just this 100 hertz. So maybe let's do 80. Okay. Now we need a big tail, so let's give this a release. I want something that's like kind of sounds good. I'm also going, because I don't want multiple kicks playing at the same time, so I went into the master panel and I'm going to make this just one, so just one voice comes out. And I want to try to make it sound more like a kick, so I'm going to do this pitch envelope. So now it's got that little boom. Now let's make it go really long. It's too much. I'm going to give it some FM. See, we got a little bit of punch now. So without it, with. Okay. Lower the level if it's too much for you. No, I want it like slow. No. Let's duplicate it and let's turn it off for now. I also had another epiphany. So you know how like, I don't know, I'll just throw a collision on here and I'll just call it snare just cause. So we've got our grid here. It's quarter notes, it's 2 bars. So snares are on the 2 and the 4 always. And the kick is pretty much always on the 1. This is 2.1, so on the 1. And then, more often not, the kick will be on the 3s. So now you have this pattern. And this is, again, just to illustrate and just talk about it. But we're not going to do that because everyone knows that stupid thing. So, yeah, not going to be doing that. But I had to say that really quick. So we've got our kick here. And I want it to be like a very slow pattern, but I realized I feel like we should have something playing, you know, because then that might, like, drums is one of those things where, like, if you like to like make music and stuff and like, you know, you're gonna have drums on there, you're gonna have beats on there. Suffice it to say, if you start from scratch and open up a brand new Ableton project, when you're looking to like, if you know, so let's pretend you're not working on technique or sound design. If you're looking to like make like pieces of music, you're probably gonna start with drums because like if you open up like drums, you don't have to worry about any metronome stuff. You know what I mean? If you just like try to, you know, you can just put them on because when they're on these beats, like that's just where they are. Like this bar is gonna play this BPM and it's gonna play whatever is in here, and drums, beats, they fall on the beats. You know what I mean? On these in these areas. So like it's a great place to start, like drums. But another place to start is not drums because some people, so for instance, if you're starting a project, start with drums. Start with the drums if it's gonna, you know, there's gonna be drums, right? But if you're like, I don't have any ideas for creative drums, or like I don't have any idea of like a beat pattern that I want, well then start somewhere else. Start somewhere else. Oh, okay. And then oftentimes when you start with something else, where the beats should fall on the beats will sort of reveal itself. And maybe it won't, because like I'm not playing a pattern. I just want like a really good chord to play. So I'm gonna insert a MIDI track, and I'm gonna drop guess I'll drop wavetable for now, but I'm just gonna leave it on like sine wave, you know? So, cause like all I really care about is like this chord. And because I know it's just gonna be one note and it doesn't really matter what note it is, I think I'm gonna just like, I don't know, draw B, a lower B, cause B doesn't get enough love. Everyone's always doing C, but B's like just right below it, you know? And I know it's probably gonna be a longer clip, so I don't know, maybe I'll do an 8-bar clip, and then I'm going to do legato, but I'm going to come in here, and if you got this pen going on, you just push B, B activates it, and I'm going to, I don't know, have it play. This is an 8-bar loop, but I'll play for 7 bars, and then I want to hear the decay, but maybe I'll change that later, and shift tab to get back here. And I'm going to go to MIDI effects, and I'm going to drop a pitch, even though we may not use it, just if I want to change it midstream. But the key here will be chord, because like, you know, I'm going to go up 7 because that's a perfect fifth. If I went up 12, that would of course be an octave, but I don't want an octave, I want 2, because that's like the 2 up from there, which is the 9. So this is a, it's like a 9 chord. And I think I might leave it there because it has a good sound. And let's click play. Sounds kind of nice, doesn't it? Why is this so loud? It sounded very tense. You want to know why it sounded tense? Let's pause the kick drum. It sounded tense because, well, we might as well get a spectrum on here. Mute. I don't have to stop it, I can just mute it. Boy, you're really farting up a storm over there, Chonky. I gave him, actually spectral time could be interesting. Let's do it. Can we make spectral time sing? I think you have to like stop it and then start it for it to happen again. Hear that? Didn't it like... It's chunky. It's chunky, good boy. Hear that? It's like weird, but I want it to be, yeah, it's a weird one. I never really played with this one. I'm assuming you guys don't mind. If you do manual, you gotta like click freeze. You can play with these things. But I was under the impression you could keep it on retrigger, and it would just do it for you. Yeah, it is, right? See it? Well, if you're gonna be on 33, you might as well just do another 3. Let's click play. I'm gonna move off, but there was a reason why I've never used this device on this channel. So if I turn the dry wet off, we just have our sound. So we might use this. So yeah, play with spectral time sometime. When you've got some time, play with spectral time and tell them Gemini sent you. And be like, oh, for me, you shouldn't have. Now, I want to make this more, before I move on to this drum, I'm not scene launching it over here because I don't want this to record. And I don't want it to stop because this is what I use to record just the Ableton audio. Because when I mix this production in Final Cut, which if you guys didn't see me like just play around and make art in a SDHO 40, like go back and watch it because that's so cool. Because like if you do music, you also do art, or like you need to have art. You know what I mean? Like you have to have art. Because like if you upload it, there's gonna be art, which means you're either paying for art, I don't really even like the sound of this. It's like too aggressive, even though it's not really aggressive. I'm gonna turn off B for now. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I like that. And this is just a sine wave. Like, look, let's make a triangle. See, like, it just sounds too computery if you, like, do, like, a square or something. It's like, yeah, something tells me that's not going to fit with this, like, tribal ambient thing. Now, we could put a filter on it and, like, give it a filter envelope. Because what it is it's those higher harmonics. Where are we? Where are we? Yeah, see, it's these. So a sine wave, which we just had, it's just one, right? It's just one. And that's why it sounds the way it does. But as soon as you start adding these damn harmonics, it just sounds like I am computer music. Now we cut it all out, right? So if we put this up. Yeah, like that's what we're gonna be meditating to. But if you put a filter envelope, put up this, make sure you're in the filter section and you go to envelope. Yeah, it's like, gets rid of some of that, but I don't want that at all. So we can just turn off the filter envelope because, go back to sine wave. We can just turn off the filter envelope because like you wouldn't like filter up a sine wave anyway. So I want something just round like that. I don't want it like so round. So there might be something I want to do to it. Maybe I'll put like a saturator on and like experiment with its stuff to make it sound different. Or maybe I'll run it through a corpus. That might be a good idea. Boy, I really love that corpus. I don't know about you guys. All right, so let's bring back our core. Let's bring back our... And I want to like make... I'm going to turn the kick off. I just wanted to reintroduce you to what it sounded like. Now, I want to make this sound more like ambient-y, right? And I want to do all that before I... Like, because we could... But I want it to be more like chill like this. So one thing I'm going to do, and this doesn't even involve... you can do this anytime. It's a trick. You drop an auto pan. You drop an auto pan. And the auto pan, so see this? Right now it's going left to right, left. See, you can even see it little dancing down here. You see it? And the more extreme you do it, the more extreme the effect will be. And even though that's like cool, and actually it sounds kind of good on my ears, I might leave it this way. What I wanted to do is I wanted to crank the phase up because I just wanted to like... I just want the volume to like pulse. I don't really want stereo stuff, but now that's almost making me crave it. Now I'm like, wait, I kind of want to go back because it like actually felt like... So like, that's how we changed. Like I wondered why like, I'm like, I don't make and finish music anymore. I just want to like design sounds and feel all like meditative, you know? It's going too slow. I don't really like that. Let's put it back here. I want more of like a pulse. I want to... So if you go all the way up, amount to 100, even though it's not doing it here, what it should do is like it should be all the way up volume, all the way down volume. That's why it sounds not so good. But when you lower it more, it just kind of like pulses it a little bit. I want something that's like hypnotic-y. And maybe I will just do like another... Oh no, it just... No. I want another auto pan. When have you guys ever seen someone with 2 auto pans on a track? That must have been really cool. Now, I don't want to go all the way over here because I don't want it to be going like left to right channel. Like, I just want it to like move around a little bit. Like, does that sound good? I don't know. I'm gonna Command G, and I'm just gonna call this the Autopans. Autopan on the Autobahn. I remember like growing up in school in the US, and they were like, people in Europe, they love the Autobahn. It's like everything. I'm like, what do you mean they love it? It's everything. They're like, listen, Autobahn is life for the Europeans. They love Autobahn. And I was like, works for me. I'll just believe that. Cause like, can't you like drive like super fast and like everyone like loves it? All right, so what are we gonna do? Let's get a pattern going. Double click. No, because it's like, because I don't want it to, I don't... Oh, I just got an idea. Boom. I want to go lower. So we're going to have to do another kick. Option drag, call it kick 2, and let's bring it down. Maybe 70. Kick 2. Maybe there. Launch them back again. Oh, that one really thumped at the end. This we're just gonna keep it playing, or I mean I could have just highlighted and did legato, but I'm gonna give it some attack. And I'm gonna stop both and then relaunch. So I already did something that I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do was, so like, see how this is a 2-bar loop? No, it's not. It's actually it's a 1.2.3 bar loop. When are you ever going to use that? Like, if you had a song like this and you like, your friend wanted to like beat match it so they could like make a DJ set, they like wouldn't be able to, because like we're not adhering to like the normal principles. And the crazy thing is like, I don't know about you guys, but a pretty powerful thing happens when you first start making Ableton, and it's a cool thing and a not so cool thing. The cool thing is you have no idea what you're doing unless you've like used other programs before. But if you were like me in 2013, like I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know that like to make a drum groove, you know, to make beats, like you had to have the snare on the 2 and the 4, the kick on the 1, the kick on the 3, hi-hats on all the 8th notes, but also on the 16th notes if you wanted to make it like fast. You know, like I would do random stuff like this. Like I would, you know, plug in my guitar and come up with a guitar riff and not know that I had to like I had to select the BPM and I had to like play the metronome and play in. I would just have these, like, I would just play a good pattern and I'd loop it. And then I would open up drum clips, and it was harder than hell to make music. So it took me so long to make music. And then I just, you know, would open up a drum loop, you know, open up a MIDI clip, and I would make like a bar or a 2-bar or a 4-bar loop. And then I would just make my things play with it because they would be in time. But I did weird stuff like this weird bar, you know what I mean? And then this is doing 8 notes, but this thing is doing its own thing. So let's start doing this. It's not going to be a snare. Let's just call it good sound, mid. Beam always sounds bad, but whatever. Actually, maybe not if we tune it way down. It's so ridiculous. I use the pitch envelope. Beam always sounds bad. Let's go member. Let's get more of these in here. Yeah, this pitch envelope one is pretty. Play with the tune. If you want it to get ratioed, you turn up the ratio amount. Almost sounds like another kick drum. Now we're gonna need some velocity changes to this, so let's see if we can make that happen in the easiest way. You can come down here and so it won't play it every time if we play this chance. But when we go to velocity, we can like, no, Command Z. No, I'll leave it for now. But what I want to do is let's give me some random velocities. That's what I want, this velocity range. I'll maybe move them down. We gotta make sure we have velocity sensitivity on here though, right? We don't want to be a psycho. Where is it? Oh yeah, mallet volume. Give some velocity there. Mallet stiffness. In fact, let's play with some of this. Let's go back to resonator 1. Let's change it to played. pitch envelope. Drop velocity, and I just want just everything. So like we already did that with here, and like when we turn this velocity range up, this means like each time you can select. This is the chance. This means a 50% chance this will play, otherwise it won't. Maybe I'll go in here and I'll lower this one. So now it's like a less likelihood it'll play, but every so often it will. Maybe do that with this middle one. I'm gonna drag this over here, and anytime they're close, I'll have it play the other one that I just did. Rather than play, let's do string. Never really have good luck with string because it just sounds kind of like and like marimba and beam, like they sound too like this. Screaming for some reverb. Let's, I don't know. This is the LFO. Matrix. Escape the matrix. LFO to the oscillator 1. Sub -2. No, turn it off. Don't like this. Let's do digi piano. Get out instruments, go to collection. Put the volume up on this. Let's put an echo. I've been trying to play with the echo a lot lately. little hypnotic, right? GTA. If I ever hear any like Ableton tutorial, or I'm ever out with Ableton people, or I'm at like Ableton headquarters and someone randomly is like working on Ableton and they're like, add some GTA, they're either very French or like maybe by that point everyone will watch these and be like, yeah, we really like that guy, and it just got stuck in our head. So what's really cool about this Echo is like these like, I guess like effects that you can use. It's almost like a weird LFO or something, but like this wobble. It's like just a little bit. It's like it's just making it more interesting. I'm gonna turn them off. Wasn't doing it. Don't feel like you have to use everything. Like that's some advice I'll give, you know. I've also been playing with grain delay a lot. Hear it like bouncing around the stereo spectrum. Someone said, hey, go Buck! That sounds so lovely. None. Maybe put it after the Autopan Brothers. What should we do with this drum track? Beat repeat, of course, because let's get some variations going, man. We're not psychos. So it's gonna capture audio once every bar, but like, I don't know, maybe that might be better. Oh, remember I said we were gonna do a thing? We were gonna, okay, let's take this chance for this first kick and like turn it down so like we don't even really hear it anymore. Because that's like such a no-no. No, I'm gonna do something as well. No, this is sounding a little bit too crazy. I'll put it back there. I want variation up. And I'm gonna go ins, so it like cuts off. It doesn't like play on top of what's playing when it clicks over. Damn, what was I gonna do? I want that reverb. See here, that Command X, Command V. Get the EQ back. Give it a vintage. Go back to the table. Get it off squash. beat repeat is like a mind of its own right now. I almost can't even hear it. Now I'm hearing it. I think that like gives it a drive. Let's maybe come in here and do something weird like 6. Let's do 8.88 because we're looking to get abundant. Nah, 8 was better. Yeah, go back. I found frequency at the lowest it goes is kind of good a lot of times, sometimes. Worm wall. So again, chance means, so like you go to this one, right? Now here's the velocity. There should be one of these here. This means, so like right here, this is a, what number is this? Okay, it's a 97 velocity, but it says either play 97 velocity or something randomly up to plus 30, right? I wish you had one where you could like bring it down lower. Oh, you do have that. Oh, it's like what you could do actually. Just select all of these, bring them all the way up, and then do that. I wonder if that would... Dude, it's just so crazy. If there's anyone who like, because that's like what I wanted it to do, and it only let you go up, and like, but like I don't play with this function a whole lot, you know what I mean? So like I think they literally, because like I had noticed like Ableton was like updating, like I have automatic update. It's like the only program I have automatic updates on. But see this chance down here? So look, if we go back to this guy, like I don't want this one to play very often. So it says 30% of the time skip it. And like we've got that set up for all of these. So that's like a very convenient thing. So I don't know if there's any like big fans of this show, but I did cover these velocities. Command A to select all. And I was like, you know, I want to be able to go down, and unless I didn't drag the slider down, which I doubt, because if I wanted it to do a thing and it didn't do it, that means so like I think that must have been new. So like, thank you, Ableton. Cool about wavetable is like, all right, let's move it up here to like. The only thing is that when we change these things, it takes a while to like change. In fact, I really like this collection called Collection, which just these like random names. Let's go back to basics. Give it some like filter movement. Just keep adding things to the cows come home. Remember my grandma used to say, something to the cows come home, and I was like, what does that mean? There's no cows anywhere. Ooh, maybe this might be really cool. See, cause like the grain delay gives me like, the grain delay's got, you almost like have to use the LFO if you want to use this like crazy filter. And I guess you could do this, but I don't trust it. Is it doing it? Don't want that. Say it with me. GTA. Smooth. Too chaotic. By the way, I like this kick drum. I always thought that I was like not allowed to make a kick drum because look, it's just a sine wave. It's just a sine wave at 80 hertz, and this is the envelope. Like I don't need anything else. I had this. It's kind of interesting. So you know what it gives me an idea? The input-output. Resampling. Just start it whenever. Because we don't care where it starts recording. So if you notice, like, this is a 16 bar loop, and this is a 1.2.3 bar loop. If you want, we could this is great. It's almost like you like almost have to use beat repeat. Now I'm like, oh my god, dude, because I decided to do this, I realized that like you almost like always need a beat repeat just to like, because it will give variations on your drum pattern. And I think the key guys is where's the beat repeat? The key is you want this variation up. It like searches for other things, I think. And this ins, I don't think it'll make too much of a difference, but as soon as it starts repeating, it only plays the thing that which is repeating. Like, whereas if you have it on mix, the regular beat plays all the time, but the stutters will just be added on top. Just play around with it, man. It's fun. I don't even know what the hell this is, but it's making me happy. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop all these tracks. Before we get going, you know exactly what we're gonna do. Turn warp off, turn it back on, go on repitch, or you can go to Complex Pro, and play with the oh, this is a really nice reverb tail. So now let's just play this one, switch this monitor to auto, and then let's play with this. Listen how different this is now. So you could have been like, yo, what you made there sucked. Why would it suck? And then you can like just resample it. And the reason why I like to do this, and I like to do it where I stretch this, because I feel like rather than doing like semitones, like I feel like this is just really smooth. I'm gonna go Command C. I like what it sounded like there. Zoom out and ooh, 33. Oh, by the way, make sure you're on loop. It's interesting. Now let's play this. See what this sounds like. Does this like ruin it? There it is, guys. That was fun. Yeah, I guess the moral of the story is, and I'm gonna start doing this, I think, a lot, and like mostly whenever I use Ableton, I'm mostly just like hanging out with you guys, but so you'll see me do it. But I'm gonna start doing things that I'm gonna start becoming a bad producer to like get techniques and skills. Like this is what a bad producer would do. The bad producer. He or she would do something like this, 1.2.2 bar. And like everything plays and sounds good. So you can basically make, because like you listen to music and like it just sounds so like formulaic. Anyways, guys, smash a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, buy an NFT, and so you can support me. You own my art, you're supporting the podcast, and you're making me happy. And if you didn't know how to buy an NFT and never purchased any cryptocurrency, well, now you did, and now you learned what the future will be very soon. So a lot of things happening, and you've been great. Thank you.